we'll be joined momentarily by by one of the activists that were in East LA, and we want to talk about more specifically the whitewashing of the protesters there, the brilliant whitewashing of the protesters that were there by Hillary Clinton. I think I have him on the line. Tony, how are you?
Well, I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome, man. Thank you for joining me. We're just doing an audio call here. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your participation in the protest.
Well, I mostly went after seeing organizers that told me, oh, there's going to be a protest against Hillary Clinton, and it was mostly organized by Mecha, young like Chicano students from around East Los Angeles.
Hmm.
But it was a very diverse crowd, mostly leftists, progressives, for that fact. Uh, and that's what kind of left me feeling odd that I come back home and I check Twitter and everyone was pretty much just brushing it off and saying, "Oh, it was Bernie Sanders event. It was nothing but Bernie people." And in reality, they were a minority amongst the group, maybe just
Hmm.
about a dozen among hundreds.
Hmm. Yeah. But
And
go ahead.
oh no, go on. Yeah.
Oh, so I was going to ask you. So let's start at the beginning. These were protests in East LA. It was protest. Tell us some of the reasons the protesters were out there.
It was a wide variety of reasons. The two most common ones that I noticed there were people upset at Hillary for her role in the coup in Honduras and the murder of Berta, as a result,
Hmm.
and also people upset that Hillary, who had made remarks against immigrants, send immigrant kids back,
Hmm.
having pretty much the same views as Trump, and they felt it was disrespectful for her to come to an immigrant community such as East Los Angeles.
Hmm.
So those were like the two biggest factors that I noticed there.
And an article that I was reading about it was one particular participant in the protest. She was inside of the facilities and she was nervous and she didn't know if she was going to actually shout and carry out her action. But then she saw the mariachi bands and she saw the way that Hillary was pandering to East LA on Cinco de Mayo. And I saw another commenter say that East LA only mattered to Hillary Clinton on Cinco de Mayo, and it's actually worse because this is Cinco de Mayo in election years because she's not going to be there at any other time. So there seems to be a lot of pushback on the pandering, and so all of these people that were there for all the different reasons that you listed. When we got to Monday morning, or not even Monday morning, we got over the weekend, all of a sudden it became only about Bernie Sanders and the complete whitewashing, acting as though that these people were not protesting from a cultural perspective that was relevant to your community, but just protesting Hillary because you guys didn't like Hillary. Unpack some of that whitewashing for me.
Yeah, one of the first comments I had seen, and someone had tagged me to it because I guess some Hillary supporters were either having trouble finding us on Twitter or they didn't care. It was a little mix of both because many people linked them to my tweets while I was there, and they all just their first mentions was, "Oh, I guarantee you, it's just a fringe group of white Bernie bros."
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I would reply or anybody else that was there, I got to meet a few people, including the young woman who protested inside the rally. Um, Everyone just seemed to brush us off. They would block us or just dismiss us. And they got really upset the minute they found out it wasn't a Bernie planned event. They weren't the majority. There were maybe a dozen or so.
Mm-hmm.
There was even one Trump supporter there that was there. I don't know. He was in the wrong crowd for the most part. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was really odd.
So
But
go ahead.
yeah, I mean, it was kind of this thing. It's someone had mentioned to me too, I think today on Twitter, where they said people of color will only matter to Hillary so long as they're her props. As soon as she's done with them and the supporters as well,
Mm-hmm.
they're gone. And that's kind of what happened at the rally. As supporters left, it was. I mean, everyone on Twitter kept telling me, her supporters saying, "How dare you? That was a Hispanic rally. Her supporters are Hispanic."
Right.
Every single person that I saw waiting in line, I'll say 80% white. And I could tell they had never gone to East Los Angeles before. That was their first and possibly the only time. And as they were exiting, this young woman started, shouting at her supporters, "I hope you enjoyed your first visit to East LA. Back to Beverly Hills you go."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the spin, Tony, that gets me. The spin that gets me, I was reading your timeline. First of all, what's your Twitter handle?
It's a Mexican anarchist.
So it's like Mexican anarchist, but without the two ANs. So we'll tweet
Correct. Yeah.
tweet me, and then I'll retweet your handle because I want everyone to read your timeline. That's why I wanted to call you on the show because you were doing on your timeline what I've invested a lot of time in doing, particularly with the black community, right? So in the black community, you've had people constantly erase the fact that we are black people who, one, just oppose Hillary Clinton for many historical reasons, and two, maybe we're Bernie Sanders supporters. A lot of us are, but that's not the reason we oppose Hillary Clinton. We would oppose Hillary Clinton if it's just Hillary Clinton by herself. But the spin has been that as long as they're able to whitewash black and brown supporters of Bernie Sanders or black or brown people who are against Hillary Clinton, they've been able to co-opt the message and make it seem like Hillary Clinton is the queen of intersectionality. Hillary Clinton is the queen of the black community and the brown communities. All of that while the very people who are doing the protesting are brown and black people. Tell me a little bit more about that whitewashing that you've seen and some of your responses to it.
Well, one of the more common, I guess, responses I've gotten to people upset that, oh, it wasn't a Bernie rally, and B, it was mostly people of color. We even had a Black Lives Matters activist there to support us, and they told us kind of what we knew is Hillary's acting like she wants to be a part of your community. She will destroy it. That will be her end game there. And yeah, the pandering from her supporters online, I mean, and in person, they will say things like, oh, we need to hear out, more black and brown voices, women of color, we're intersectional.
Yeah.
And there's that famous photo of the young woman who protested inside the rally, and there's like a white guy, a Hillary supporter, just has his hand over her face as she's trying to, say her piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's the one that told me that, yeah, they assaulted her inside, and deputies dragged her out, not the supporters who attacked her. And there was another young man as well inside that also was attacked. So I told all these Hillary supporters that were telling me that, oh, we were the violent ones because we were unruly or we were yelling, we were being rude.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you know what? If you want, I'll apologize. We're sorry we're a little aggravated, but yeah. I'm like, well, you guys apologize for the actual violent events that happened inside. Nobody wants to apologize. Many don't even want to say it happened. One woman even said, I don't think he hit her. It looks like he's waving. And I don't know too many people that wave by reaching way out to the side over someone else's face. So, yeah, they're really just trying to clean up, their mess they left behind.
I wish I had that picture handy, but you did tweet that out, and I retweeted that because your statement above it was brilliant, right? So online, they're saying, let's be intersectional. Let's hear voices of women. Let's hear voices of minorities and black and brown voices. And in real life, you see a Hillary Clinton supporter doing the exact opposite, trying to silence a brown woman, a woman of color, at the very most important point where she's desperately trying to get her voice heard. I thought that was a brilliant juxtaposition that you did there. And you also pointed out one other thing that I meant to talk about tonight, but I completely forgot until you just mentioned it, that according to one survey, Hillary Clinton supporters are more aggressive than Bernie Sanders supporter, John Kasich supporters, even more aggressive than Ted Cruz's supporters. Hillary Clinton supporters online are second only to Donald Trump. Like that blows your mind when you consider their ability to simultaneously co-opt the message of being persecuted when they are actually the ones out here doing the most aggressive and the most disgusting type of social online warfare. Tony, listen, man, thanks so much for joining me at the last second. Tell everyone how to get up with you and where they can find out more about what you guys are working on.
I mean, for me personally, they just find me on Twitter. If anybody is curious, I could also link them to people that were also involved in the protests, that they were there, and I got to meet them, which I'm really thankful for. These are younger activists that are coming up on their own. It's like a new breath of life I've been seeing, like within social movements, is these youngsters that don't want to accept it as it is anymore. And yeah, if anybody wants to just tweet at me, and I'll link them to these people. They want to talk to them some more, get to know us, and things like that.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on Twitter.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. 857-600-0518. You could join the conversation, and we talk about anything that we've talked about so far tonight. But yeah, that blew me away. Hillary Clinton supporters are more aggressive online than Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm trying to get the original article, and I'll share it. It's a survey, actually, from onlineharassmentdata.org. And they've tried to ascertain which group of supporters were the most aggressive.